on that fun topic, we have another game to bring to you, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Need for Speed
Am I the only one that didn't
Payback.
play a game this week?
I feel like you missed out, my friend, because they were in full effect.
I did, sorry.
Yeah, Need for Speed Payback is the latest game from Need for Speed. Actually, it just came out like literally last week.
I love the Payback.
Payback.
The title. Like, you need the speed so bad that someone did you unjust. And
I thought it meant that's how people will feel once they actually bought the game. I kind of want my money back.
Hey, the movie Payback actually itself with Mel Gibson is quite good.
The movie Payback, if they had some clips from Payback in this, it might be a better game. It's not terrible, but it's inspired by like straight to DVD action film. I'm kind of a delinquent, but I run the straight and narrow. I'm a criminal with a code, and I've been set up by criminals that don't.
What was that really bad like car movie that Jesse Pinkman, the guy who did
Need for Speed.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
Completely unrelated to this game itself, but Need for Speed.
So bad.
Oh no, it's not a good movie.
Apparently.
Well, no, it looked very pretty. Like the car chases and stuff were neatly shot, and
you gotta believe that this actor is coming out of jail as this badass guy.
Man, the whole thing. Okay, you know what's a better car movie than that? The very first Fast and Furious movie, and I'm talking in Prestige. And if you've seen that movie, you know how big a joke that is.
The whole series, except for Fast 5.
Oh, you stop that right now. The whole series is beautiful.
Except for Fast 5.
Fast and Furious. The fourth one was the terrible one.
All right, so
They're
is
all
the story
terrible.
on this any worse or better than any of the Fast and Furious?
Anytime you tag Payback,
none of them have been really hard on the story itself. Then the closest I could tell that really tried to emphasize, this is okay, no, that's BS. I was going to say your Need for Speed Rivals, but the one that came after that, the Need for Speed reboot from a couple years ago, that one actually focused on you're building yourself up and you're interacting with these real world, like quote unquote racing icons, just people who are well known in the field, and the interstitials were like live action video of you meeting people, celebrities, and these known racing figures, and it was corny as hell.
Oh,
I mean, well, seriously, it's like every conversation ends with, "Hey man, it's good to see you. Adam, I hear you do good things on radio. All right, I gotta go. Hit it one time. Boom. Yeah. All right. Hey Herb over there, I hear you work with like audio equipment and stuff, man. You're doing awesome stuff. You take care. I'm gonna drive now."
So it sounds like nothing but characters.
Watch me shift gears.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. This one is a little more of a down to earth, of a less sensationalized story. But it plays out like the most hokey. I won't even say straight to DVD because at least in this day and age, people have learned from their mistakes. I'll say straight to VHS/beta.
Oh.
Like a shoddy cop drama.
Straight to beta. I haven't missed that. Missed that series.
Straight to beta because a lot of the stuff here is just like, man, I wrote this screenplay when I was 11 and I can't wait to get it made. It's like, okay, cool.
And I'm 35 now.
Exactly.
I still have good taste.
And that doesn't put down a good game, but this is not a great game. It's just a good game, and that's being generous, I think. And let me get to that in a second. The story is one of the main problems, which is why I emphasize it first, because people aren't going to a racing game for the story. That's not really the thing that's going to drive us forth, but that's supposed to lead into the interesting challenges and the fun gameplay, and we test out the mechanics and put it through its paces, and then the racing itself. And all that should be really accentuated by the concept of you're part of a three-person team, which each has their own specialties. One is the street racer, one is the getaway driver and the drag racer, and one is like the off-road guy. So each of those should be a different aspect of the gaming, which could give you a well-rounded game. I was jazzed when I was introduced to that initial concept. I'm thinking, okay, this isn't just a standard racing game like Need for Speed has notoriously been. Each game has been. Most of the previous games have been set along one line. Hot Pursuit was all, I'm being chased, and it's one-on-one chasing and stuff. Rivals was a rehash of that. What I really liked about this was the fact that it seemed like they were varying and putting all in one game. And the fact that the Need for Speed reboot was very pretty. Like, look, it was a gorgeous game, but it felt very enclosed. It felt very small. Okay. And this thing is like, shoot, man, like GTA 5 proportions.
Yeah, just like way too much a little bit.
Yeah, it's just there's so much.
Actually, it takes me less time to get here from Medford. Then you can get across the map in GTA.
Well, one of the things that bums me out about it is it's a beautiful game, and I love the landscapes and all the attention paid to having open tracks where you can actually just drive. It's a driving game, but a lot of it is in desert and on mountainsides. And you'd think mountainsides, I get a good view. Like, yeah, but when I have to drive to the mountain, in real time. So I spend seriously. I think in total right now I've played the game maybe 50 hours, and in that 50 hours, at least 10 of them, and I think that's being very
been
generous.
commute.
Yeah, exactly. It's been driving 2 different challenges. The if you fail a challenge, you have to.
You should be able to get to one challenge to the next in the time it takes you to get to through a pack of ramen. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? If you can't do it, and then you're probably wasting time.
Maybe if you eat very slow. If you count the boiling time, then yeah, you're good there. But it's one of the things that takes you out of the experience, and that's one thing that really bugged me because I love racing games so much.
Do you?
You know, and I was really excited for this because there's a lot of bad ones, but when you find a good one, that is just the
What's
grail.
your favorite racing game?
My favorite game?
Yeah.
Oh, good question. Well, Burnout Revenge right now.
That's a good one.
It was a great one, but it's also a game that's 12 years old now. As of this review, it's 12, just under 13 years old. You know, so it's been forever and a day. I say in recent years, it's one that almost nobody played. Ridge Racer Unbounded.
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer's always been my favorite game series, and it's always been like the underdog to a more popular series.
Yeah.
And it started with like the first Ridge Racer Revolution. Was one of the first PlayStation racing games, and it was fun as hell. But you also had games like Gran Turismo coming out, where folks were like, oh my god, racing games can be serious?
Mm-hmm.
It's not Mario Kart. And I'm actually in like what feels like a vehicle, and I can change cars to realistic things. This is going nuts, and it's always been like one step behind. You know, Ridge Racer R4 is a game that almost nobody played, but I accidentally ditched classes in high school because I was so caught up in playing that I missed when I was actually supposed to leave and go to. All I'm saying is it's a series that's always had something that was great, but always got overshadowed by someone else that was more famous at the time, more influential at the time, and ironically enough, the thing that overshadowed Unbounded was the last Need for Speed.
Oh.
Yep. Which could have been the greatest game ever, but it promised a lot and it delivered less than folks had hoped. This game was the one to take the reins and retake the crown of Need for Speed and finally bring home. And no, man, dude, they fall flat. It's a bummer. But that doesn't mean it's a bad game. Let me get into the specs right now. First of all, the thing that everyone's griping about, and I really have to call attention to, is the upgrade system. You start off with these 3 racing classes, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get different cars in each, and I'm going to be able to do great things. Well, it starts off with you have your cars, and if you got the DLCs that came with the pre-orders, then you maybe have a few bonus cars, which are better to go use in the races. Trust me, because they start you off with the crappiest boxes. That you could actually find, you could ever find. And then there's derelicts. You can find derelict car chassis and parts that you can actually build out a few different quote-unquote supercars. So you think, I'm going to do those, and I'm going to race, and it's going to be great. So much was put into the multiplayer that all that in the single-player campaign becomes tedium. It starts off with the kind of corny story, which I can forgive because I'm really just here for the racing. But you have to go through all the little challenges that gives you, which is fine if that's what you're into. If you're not, if you just want to race, then dude, that is a solid like 2 hours of just pointless pain in the assdom before you get to enjoy the game that you paid good money for.
Was it like busy work to pad out the single player experience?
Not to pad out. It feels, well, you get there. There is a lot of that later on. It's a lot of grinding in this.
Oh, okay.
But at the start, it's mostly just to teach the player this is the new lengthy track display. And honestly, all this if you played Grand Theft Auto 3. No, San Andreas.
Yep.
Because the whole thing of taking part in like 3 different fronts and then a lot of desert in between.
Yep.
That's what they've rehashed here. So it's like, we're familiar with this. Let us just get to the game. That's one thing I think they really fell flat on. What was really good about it, though, is once you actually get to it, there's a lot of open exploration you can do. They've just peppered the entire map with these mini challenges. You find different jumps, and you can jump a certain distance, and you earn stars. Stars earn you money and experience. You find speed traps where at a certain point in the land, you can match a certain MPH or KPH, whatever you want to set it at. And you get bam, you made that because you were just here at the right speed at the right time. Doesn't account for NOS. So you actually have to get the car to that speed. You can't just like turbo into it.
Okay.
Yep, and you get it's a quick bit of change in your pocket, a little more experience. So it keeps you gradually climbing, which is good. But then when you want to use that experience, you want to use that money you've earned, you can buy new cars, which until you reach a higher level is kind of negligible, quote unquote, benefit. Or you can buy, and this is what really gets me, speed cards, and that's how you upgrade your automobiles. Speed cards. The whole thing is brought down to this weird kind of card game-esque system.
Yep.
Where I buy a card. If it's a level 2, it'll give me this much and this much. It might detriment these stats, but it'll benefit these stats. Where versus this level 3 card is made by this manufacturer. Manufacturer make is important because it's along the same lines as the manufacturer makes of guns in Borderlands, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay. To anyone who hasn't played Borderlands, in Borderlands it's a first-person shooter game with objectives, but each gun type is made by different companies. In-game company guns have benefits and detriments in themselves, and they each have their own quirks. Same thing with the manufacturers of these cards. But unlike in Borderlands, you don't physically see the benefits and you don't physically see any differences in them. They're just things that boost your stats or lower your stats.
There's no cosmetic aspect to it.
There isn't. And that was kind of a neat little thing that got me. What I'm getting at is Need for Speed Payback is a lot of promised awesomeness that really fails to deliver. It's like, Johnny, man, it's your birthday. Me and Adam are gonna make you a cake. It's gonna be incredible. And cool, all right.
Yeah.
we made you a 6-foot cake and we wheeled it in. Awesome. And no naked people are jumping out of it. It's like, okay, well, maybe at least it's a really good cake. And then you dip into it, and what is it, chocolate? No, it's carob. Exactly. Exactly. So it's like that. It's like you go into everything, you go into this game hoping everything is going to be amazing, and everything looks amazing. The game is pretty. It's not as stylish as the Need for Speed reboot was, and I think that's because they tried to put more into the gameplay than the aesthetics. So you can feel that there's a lot more game here. It's a lot longer, but there's also a lot more grinding. And then once you get into it, you find you spend more time grinding than having fun in the different game modes.
Do you think the grinding was impacted by the microtransactions that they have in this game?
The microtransactions in the game specifically are more using in-game currency than real-world currency.
Okay.
But that's definitely one part of the grind that really, I don't know, it undercuts the gaming experience. Because, dude, it's a racing game. I want to race. Racing is the fun part. But I'm spending more time worrying about, okay, I have to take these side races and redo these 3 races that I already did because I'm just not at the level to qualify for this next story race. Okay, well, can I go online to do it? No, because I'm still at this base level where everyone else that has time to play around the clock is much higher than me, and the matching is...
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound fun.
No, but that's a problem that a lot of games has had. Need for Speed showed inklings of having learned from that in the past, so seeing it now in Need for Speed Payback shows it to step back, which is unfortunate, because this game really had a lot of promise going in. Besides that, there's just a lot of idiosyncrasies that kind of tick you off. If you're like mid race or something, and you go too close to the edge of a map, it restarts. It repositions you when you like fall off a cliff or something, and you'll do a lot of cliff falling. To be kind of, I guess, forgiving, but it's a little too, I don't know, overprotective.
Yep.
In that, like, you take a jump and it looks like you're going close to the edge. Well, I was fine, but hey, bam, now I'm back in the middle, but I'm also behind all the other racers because he took me out of that spot. Stuff like that. And one thing that, I guess the final thing I'll say, which pissed me off, because believe it or not, I did enjoy this game, most of it, and I'm still playing, is you can't just be good at racing games. I'm in races where I should be able to at least have a solid chance because of my own skill. I'm good at drifting. I should be able to hold my own here. I'm good at general drag racing. I should be solid in most of this. Off-road may pose a challenge, but I'm good at compensation and paying attention to the quick adjustments of my fellow racers. So I should be able to succeed without having to grind the upgrades and get this nuanced bit of extra top speed, this extra bit of acceleration here. And you can't do that. Because if you're I think I guess below, maybe I put it about 4 or 5 points below a set recommendation level for any particular race,
Yep.
then the AI just rubber bands right past you.
Oh.
It's ridiculous.
Damn thing's rigged.
I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. But the high points are it does have a varied gameplay. There are different racing styles, and playing the different characters has the advantage of it, at the very least, since they're all very similar in their duties, requirements, objectives.
Yep.
You get different different sound bites and reactions from them. So that's a mild amusement, but at least it is something that changes it up. And if you're just going in for the racing, eventually when you get around the grinding, when you get around the corny storyline, as a racing game itself, the races are fun. A lot of them are challenging. There are a few, especially on the mountains, that are set less towards your ability to control speed and maintain, more towards memorization of the track. I raced this for the 5th time in a row, so now I know that this big curve has a shortcut that I need to use, or else I'm going to fall off every time, or I got to stop and go 2 miles an hour. Stuff like that. So
kind of like a in between of a hybrid between more arcadey style racing game versus more simulation. Where simulation you have to memorize the courses. Arcade, it's take it as it goes. Left turn is coming up. That's what you're gonna do.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of Forza style gameplay in this. When even down to the jumps, that you have to plan your landing so you don't careen, but you also don't do too much damage to your car. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest benefits they have is your car will get damaged. You can beat this thing to hell and it will show, but it won't affect the performance. So you don't have to worry about, I got to drive all the way to a garage on the other side of the map now so I can actually use the damn thing. And also I have to drive there on a car that can't drive, so it's going to take me forever. No, the car will always run. It'll just look really beat up the more you beat it up.
Yep.
But believe it or not, I actually give this a thumbs up, because despite all that, if you're in it just for a racing game, a racing experience, eventually when you get there, it's a good racing game. The problem is getting there, you'll have to grind, you'll have to spend these cards and really build up. Finding the derelicts is damn near impossible, because you find the derelict and then it gives you hints via picture, via image. So you have to drive around the map and then memorize the different aspects of
the layout of
landscape. Yeah, there's a trailer here that's near a windmill. So it's the only trailer near a windmill. So the 17 other trailers I found in various spots in this map, I gotta try to remember somehow that it's not that one, it's this one. So I can go there and get a single part for this derelict car that I didn't have to rebuild. And then once I get the derelict car parts, all of them, and rebuild the derelict, now I've got to upgrade it just like any other car.
So it seems the idea of exploring and trying to find something off of an image and exploring the land and sort of studying the land, that I like, but it sounds like the reward for doing so is not worth it.
Yeah, and you know what? These are supposed to be supercars. I figure it's the type of game they intend for you to play for a long, long time, and maybe in 3 years I'll think this is the best game ever. But right now, it's a pass, but just barely, just crawl. This is a thumbs up. Yeah, they just got over the line with such a small margin, And I really hate to do that, because I had high hopes for Need for Speed. Need for Speed has been a franchise I've been following since high school, man, way back. And the soundtrack is the best thing out of this.
Oh.
Songs were dope. The songs were dope. Tell me about that racing game. How'd you like the racing? Well, the songs were great. Yeah, a lot of good songs, a lot of underground and indie stuff, some mainstream stuff. The only one that irked me, because usually there's a few, but the only one that got me here is a song that through no fault of its own and through no fault of the game, but it's the default start song for some of the mountain races, and it's the song from a commercial that plays right now. That's annoying as hell. I'm not going to sing it because I don't want the earworm to hit you, but it's just when it pops up in the game, you'll know it. Yeah. But it's Need for Speed Payback. It's available right now. I give it a thumbs up, but just barely a thumbs up by the smallest margin, because there's a lot of tedium and a lot of stuff that will make you just pull your hair out, just curl your teeth. Just, ugh. Sorry, fellas. Now that I've sold you on that one.
Yeah, right.
All right, so Adam, I mentioned this next review, and you were actually